Imagine a world where the Bible, the most read and revered book in history, has a secret appendix. This appendix, known as the Apocrypha, contains books that many early Christians regarded as sacred, but which were later deemed unworthy by the Protestant Reformers. These books, once cherished and widely read, have been relegated to the shadows, creating a rift in Christian tradition that persists to this day. What are these mysterious texts, and why have they been so controversial? This video will explore the Apocrypha, its contents, its significance in Jewish and Christian traditions, and the complex history that has shaped its place in religious canons. The Apocrypha, a term derived from the Greek word meaning hidden, refers to a collection of texts that are not included in the Jewish canon, but are considered scriptural by some Christian denominations. These books are found in the Old Testament of Catholic and Orthodox Bibles, but are often omitted from Protestant Bibles. The Apocrypha includes a variety of genres, from historical narratives to wisdom literature, and has a rich and complex history. The Apocrypha is a diverse collection of texts, each with its own unique story and message. A tale of a righteous man named Tobit and his son Tobias, who embarks on a journey to recover a debt. Along the way, Tobias is aided by the angel Raphael, and the story includes themes of faith, family, and divine intervention. The Apocrypha emerged during the Hellenistic period, a time of significant cultural and religious exchange between the Jewish and Greek worlds. Many of these texts were originally written in Hebrew or Aramaic, but have survived primarily in Greek translations. This linguistic transition is crucial to understanding their place in the canon. The Hellenistic period was marked by the spread of Greek culture and language throughout the Mediterranean world, including Jewish communities. As Jews began to speak and write in Greek, they produced literature that reflected their unique religious and cultural identity. The books of the Apocrypha were part of this literary output, and they were widely read and respected by early Jewish and Christian communities. However, the status of these books became a point of contention as different religious groups developed their own canons of sacred texts. The Jewish canon, known as the Tanakh, was finalized in the 1st century CE and did not include the Apocrypha. The reasons for this exclusion are complex and multifaceted. For Jews, the canonization process was a way to establish a definitive collection of sacred texts that were believed to be divinely inspired. The books included in the Tanakh were those that were widely accepted and had a long tradition of use in Jewish worship and study. The Apocrypha, being relatively recent and often composed in Greek, did not meet these criteria. Moreover, Jewish scholars and leaders were concerned about the influence of Hellenistic culture on their religious traditions. They wanted to maintain the purity and authenticity of their sacred texts, and the Apocrypha, with its Greek influences and sometimes controversial content, did not fit this vision. Early Christians, on the other hand, had a more inclusive approach to the canon. They accepted many of the books that were not included in the Jewish canon, seeing them as valuable and inspired. The Septuagint, the Greek translation of the Hebrew Bible, was widely used by early Christian communities and included the Apocrypha. This version of the Bible was the primary source for many New Testament writers, who often quoted from these texts. However, the status of the Apocrypha in Christian tradition has been a subject of debate. The early church fathers, such as Jerome and Augustine, had differing opinions on the matter. Jerome, a scholar and translator of the Bible, argued that the Apocrypha should not be considered scriptural because they were not part of the Jewish canon. Augustine, however, maintained that the Church had long accepted these books and should continue to do so. The Protestant Reformation in the 16th century brought the status of the Apocrypha to the forefront of religious debate. Reformers like Martin Luther and John Calvin rejected the Apocrypha, arguing that the books were not divinely inspired and should not be included in the Bible. They emphasized the importance of the Hebrew canon and the texts that were accepted by the Jewish community. The Reformation marked a significant shift in the way Christians approached the Apocrypha. While some Protestant denominations, such as Lutherans and Anglicans, continued to value these texts as important but secondary to the rest of the Bible, others, particularly the Reformed tradition, rejected them entirely. In contrast, the Catholic and Orthodox Churches have always maintained the Apocrypha as part of their canon. These churches refer to the books as deuterocanonical, meaning they are a second tier of Scripture. While they are not considered as authoritative as the books in the Hebrew canon, they are still regarded as inspired and valuable for teaching and worship. The Catholic and Orthodox traditions have a long history of using the Apocrypha in liturgy and study, and they continue to do so today. The inclusion of these books reflects a broader and more inclusive approach to the canon, one that values the diverse literary and theological contributions of early Jewish and Christian communities. The Apocrypha, despite its controversial status, has had a significant impact on Christian thought and practice. Many of the themes and ideas found in these texts have influenced Christian theology, particularly in the areas of wisdom, morality, and faith. The Wisdom of Solomon, for example, has been a source of inspiration for Christian reflections on the nature of wisdom and the human condition. The Apocrypha also provides valuable historical and cultural insights into the Hellenistic period and the development of Jewish and Christian traditions. The books of Maccabees, for instance, offer a detailed account of the Maccabean revolt and the origins of Hanukkah, a festival that celebrates the rededication of the temple. The Apocrypha remains a fascinating and often misunderstood collection of texts. Its complex history and controversial status highlight the ongoing debates within Christian tradition about the nature of sacred scripture and the canon. Whether seen as a hidden treasure or a forbidden fruit, the Apocrypha continues to challenge and enrich our understanding of religious texts and their role in shaping faith and practice.